is recording.
Yeah,
I can sing.
yeah, go ahead. Bust out the song. Let's hear it. I know you was in a men's group. Go ahead. Let's hear it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited that you are taking the time out for this. So this is the Driven While Black podcast, and we're just gonna get started and talk about your Driven While Black story. So, Mr. Attorney Counselor Bryan Steward of the Steward firm. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Feel free to introduce yourself, what type of law you practice, and then we'll go from there.
Well, first of all, I want to make sure you said driven while black, so because I could also talk about driving while black. So,
Yeah,
uh,
driven. We're going to do the driven part.
well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Gordon. I truly appreciate being here and having an opportunity to chat with you. My name is Bryan Steward. I'm a member of the Steward firm, which is a minority-owned law firm here in Central Ohio. We started years ago. I had a couple of partners, one that became a judge, and we started really with a strong emphasis emphasis on serving our community and having an environment where we enjoy to come and work, and then have our staff also enjoy coming to work, and really a sense that what we were doing is not only just service to the community, but really part of ministry for us. I mean, in ministry and standpoint of serving others, and that's been really the basis of our firm. The firm has been going on now for about 15 years, so we're really excited and continue to move forward.
Awesome. Thank you. You are Bryan Steward with the Steward firm. So you have been practicing with your own law firm. You started your own for 15 years, correct?
Yes, that is correct. We're a firm that practices in the area of business, nonprofits. We also practice in the area of workers' comp defense, which is a really, really unique area, especially for a minority-owned firm. We also do personal injury, and through the years, we've done a variety of different types of cases, in addition to some criminal work, et cetera. We have a couple of attorneys, and they all practice in different areas, and that is the focus and really the basis of our practice as a general practice.
That's awesome. So would you consider yourself driven? Like, would you describe yourself as driven?
Um, I guess I would. That's a weighted question. If if that means I'm too stubborn to quit on a lot of occasions, probably yes. And do I take on challenges and other challenges or things that stretch me? Probably more so than some others would. Some may call me a risk taker to a certain extent. I don't think that. I would say it's more calculated and educated decision to really move in what I believe I'm supposed to do, and what I believe the firm is supposed to do as well.
Awesome. So, yes, you would say yes, you consider yourself driven?
I do think I am, but driven is I see it as really a passion for what you do. This is something that I absolutely believe that some people say you're called to do. I believe I'm called to do this, and because of that passion of being called to do, it is something that I don't mind getting up every day to do, and I'm really often very motivated each day because to take on the new challenges that you have, and also to see some of the successes that we have. You're talking about having the opportunity to really positively affect individuals' lives, and I don't know a better profession or a better opportunity to do that. There's so many other opportunities to do that, but in our profession, you get to see it firsthand, and that's what I enjoy and love about the type of work that I do. So
That's
yes,
awesome.
I would consider myself driven.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, as a, an attorney, they often are also called counselors, which a lot of people don't understand or don't necessarily hear or understand why. What was the best advice that you were ever given?
Ooh, that's a great question. The best advice. I think my father gave me the best advice. Um, and this advice was when I think I was going through a little something, and he said, "When have you not known it to work out eventually?"
Mm.
Uh, it was great advice for me because the whole point was is to say, hey, all things happen and they happen for a reason. And if you continue to keep your nose to the grindstone, if you continue to press forward, come out with a positive result in some way, whether it comes out with a lesson or whether it comes out with some other form of a blessing, you're going to benefit from it. And it was just great advice to keep me motivated. And I often draw on that even when I have challenges up to this day.
That's awesome. When have you ever known it not to work out eventually? So I think that's perfect in terms of being driven. Like it's one of those you have to keep going on the path, keep going forward, and eventually it will work out for you. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. What is the best advice that you would ever give to someone? It could be an aspiring attorney, it could be a law student, it could be your son, your daughter. What would be the best advice that you would give?
I think wow, there's a lot of things that I would probably get. Certainly, one that I think most people know is you do have to persevere. And perseverance is where you call it stick to itness, as my dad used to call it, or just not giving up. Perseverance, I think, is essential because anything that you go into that is going to challenge you, and there are going to be ups and downs, there are going to be disappointments, there are going to be a variety of challenges that happen in even as you move forward in what I believe you're called to do. But I think it's absolutely essential that you persevere through it all and continue not to quit, but to continue on until you reach really what your goal is. There's another piece of that, though, I would like to say as well, Dr. Gordon, is also think it's important, especially when you're talking context of careers and young people moving into something, is to value every single experience that you have. A lot of people think that as you do this type of job or this job isn't exactly what you want. And I was having this conversation with one of my children, isn't what you desire long term. You learn from every single experience that you have. I've done so many different types of jobs through the years, from manual labor, you name it, that it appears that if you would look, it's all disjointed and all over the place. But just like really a cloth is woven together, those experiences weave together in order to give you the type of experience, whatever career path, whatever calling that you have, and you'll be able to draw on each experience that you have that you've had in the past, and it's amazing how they come to fruition. And
Mm-hmm.
how you can use those in order to help in whatever career path you have.
I love that. I totally agree. When we're talking about the journey, especially when you are moving your hands and the weaving together. Often we think about success being that straight line. I got one path, one goal. There's one way to get there, but really, that's not always true. I don't know if that's true for anyone, honestly. A few
Right.
people I've spoken to, they're like, "Yeah, no, this is not what I thought I would be doing in my life." However, I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. So,
Right.
and then even if it was something that you aspired to do, the journey to getting to where you wanted was not what you thought it was going to be. I can say that for me myself. I wanted to have a PhD JD. However, some of these challenges, valleys, hills, high, mountains, all of them, I didn't necessarily think that that was something that I wanted to do. I've heard you refer to the call. When did you decide, or what was that call for you to become an attorney?
Oh gosh, I had an experience when I was younger. And just to be as candid, it was real simple. I had married my at that time was a college sweetheart, and got divorced very quickly after college. Really understanding that that we needed to move on, and we're great friends today. She's actually great friends with my wife as well. But through that experience, I actually ended up meeting an attorney where I sat down with them to help me during that particular time to go through the process. And I was 25 years old. And what the attorney did is he sat down with me and talked to me for probably the first 20 minutes just about life.
Mm.
He talked and shared how he experienced when he was about my age going through this type of transition in life, and just encouraged me to let me know, hey, you'll be just fine. You'll go on and have a new life, new marriage, new things of that nature, and God will bless you. And I remember leaving out of there, and then he eventually said, hey, we'll talk about what you need to do as far as the law. I remember leaving out of there, Dr. Gordon, and thinking right then and there, this is what attorneys do. He spoke so much life into me at that time where I just wasn't quite sure. And it wasn't just the legal part, it was the counseling part. And when I left there, I kind of figured out that I thought I might want to be an attorney. And just a couple of years later, I was in law school. Now, the wonderful thing is I get the opportunity to see him on a regular basis, and he knows when I see him. I say, now, it's your fault that I'm an attorney now. So, and that was more than 25 years ago when that occurred. But that the idea of this gentleman this attorney taking the time to see a young man who's just out of college, not sure where he's going to go, and take an opportunity to really speak life into him and encourage him was something that I thought, wow, if that's what attorneys can do, that's what I want to be.
That's awesome. So you got that humanity connection kind of from the beginning in your introduction to attorney life, and that kind of turned you on to really wanting to be an attorney.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so for you, about how old were you? Did you go straight out of college, and how did that work for you?
No, I did not go straight out of college. I didn't know that I wanted to be an attorney. And quite frankly, I wasn't sure. A lot of people don't want to talk about the self doubt sometimes that you have.
Mm.
I didn't know too very seriously. I was an athlete, and I was probably more focused on athletics and then
Okay.
extracurricular activities outside of that than I was the academic side of it, and that
Okay.
spilled over into college. So when I went to college, I did, enough to be successful to get through. I think it was someone I heard said I didn't graduate cum laude. I graduated thank you, Lottie,
Come on
and
here.
and that was truly me. And I got through school, so I wasn't 100% sure that I had the academic ability at that time, just because of my own confidence issues at that time. But what I decided to do is I decided to consider going on to grad school. So I went on and got a master's in business administration, and
Okay.
it was there I decided, as I was going through, I began to realize, wow, you know what? I think I'm as smart as anybody else
Mm.
in here, and I began to gain more confidence in the ability, and I kept trying. I said I'll try one class, and then I'll try another class, and that's really how I started the process, and you begin to gain a little confidence, and then once I left there, I said, well, you know what? I made it through grad school. Let me try law school.
Let me just try it. Just try law
And I
school.
just tried it, and I was working,
Okay.
and I applied, and I got in, and I said I'll try it. And the way I looked at it is, if this is part of what I'm supposed to do, then I'm going to work hard and God will make a way. And sure enough, I did fine and I was successful in law school. And same thing happened with the bar exam as well.
Awesome. So you just went for it. You after you gained a little momentum with graduate school and the MBA, you like, you know what, I think I can do this, and then you just decide to go for it. That's awesome. What does a day in the life of an attorney look like? So many people, especially when you're an entrepreneur as well. You started your own firm. You've been successful for 15 years. What does a day in the life of an attorney look like? Or a week if you want to do that. But I know people don't. They're like, what do attorneys do? We know they go to court, but what does that really look like? Do they go to court? How often do they go to court? What does that look like?
Well, that's a great question. The one thing that is guaranteed in our work is that no day will ever look the same. So
Part one.
that is guaranteed. As far as what we do, busy is going to be a part of what you do. You remember what you are doing as an attorney, regardless of whether it's a criminal matter, whether it's a business matter, et cetera, is that you are shepherding and helping to you're getting in line with whatever the vision or difficulties or challenges is of this individual, and you're helping to partner with them and shepherd them through this process, and that is a very very important job. So it's a part of what we do is on a daily basis is that of course we do go to court.
Mm-hmm.
We do prepare a lot of research. Communication is probably one of the biggest things that you'll do. I am on the phone. I am communicating via email, etc. Always throughout the day. Our days start very early in the morning and end late in the evening often. And we meet with people. You have to a certain extent, care about people and care about what you do. And we also, as entrepreneurs, as business people, we also have to care about those who are around us. I have a staff and a team that is here, and I have to also be concerned to make sure that they are not only completing the assignments and the work, but they're also being fulfilled with the positions that they're in. So one of the things that I do at our firm is I always try to talk with each person, find out what their goals are. One of the things that I didn't get when I was considering law school and going through law school while working with a young family is I didn't feel like I got a lot of the support because people didn't understand it. So individuals who are around me, I have law clerks and others. I believe part of the job of me as an attorney is to encourage them for them to reach the goals, whether that stays with our firm or not. My job is to encourage them to give them the best experience that they can have here so that they can go and be impactful wherever else that they go. But as an attorney and answering the question, we do a variety of things, and court is just a very small portion of what we do. So we have to be active in the community, talk with people, care about with people. That is a part of the job of an attorney, but also encourage them, pick them up, and carry them even when they can't carry themselves sometimes. Because sometimes the jobs in the cases that come in, people believe that it's hopeless, and our job is to speak truth, but also encourage them and bring them hope as well.
That's awesome. That's an amazing depiction of the profession, because often when people are coming in, they are bringing their problems. Most of the time when people come to see lawyers, it's not necessarily, the best time of their lives, depending on what they're coming for. However, if it's a real estate business deal, it might be lucrative for them. That's awesome to go to an attorney. But you also practice in criminal law and, personal injury and things like that. So that's not necessarily the most joyous time for folks when they come in. So I think that is very amazing to have that perspective of knowing that to knowing that you have the position to change someone's life and that you can encourage them and give them a different perspective and give them hope. So that's very important, especially also applying that to lawyers and law students. I can say you did that for me when I spoke with you in my law school journey. That was, when we talk about that straight and narrow path of success that does not exist. Um,
Right.
yeah, I learned that firsthand. However, I got there, but learning what some of those challenges were. So for you, on a 1 out of 10 day, so we kind of talked about what a day in a life looks like, and we didn't necessarily talk about what a 10 out of 10 day is, but we can talk about that. But on a 1 out of 10 day, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure there are some ups and some downs, some lefts and some rights. So what helps you get to that next day?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I think just a belief that, and I just have a belief that if God has brought me this far, then He's going to continue to bring me and take me through whatever challenge I have to go through. So, and on those tough days, I have to remember that, because there are days that are very tough practicing law. The reality is that when you are shepherding someone through a process, you're also going into battle with them. And anytime you go into battle, and then people are throwing punches at you. If you're
To
next
get
to
to
the person
them,
that's
huh?
trying to throw punches, so
Yeah.
so yeah, and you got to throw punches back sometimes too. So, uh, you know, um, so that is important. You can become weary sometimes from those types of battles, but and I'm sorry to get, don't want to be spiritual, but I got to give Galatians 6:9 says,
Go
be
ahead. What
not
it say?
weary in your well doing.
Uh-huh. But in due
So
season, what does it say? What's the rest
right.
of it?
You will reap if you faint not.
All
So,
right.
I try to remember that, and that is very important, because the job at times can be, you can feel the weight of the position that you're in,
Mhm.
the weight of the cases and things that you're taking, but it's not just our weight to shoulder. So we're partnering with others, and then we also stand on the shoulders of those many attorneys and those who have gone before. So I try to remember that as well, and also keep pictures of other folks in my office that inspire me, who
Yeah.
have been in this profession as well.
That's awesome. Let's talk about that. So who inspires you?
So I have obviously I have pictures of Dr. King
Okay.
that's here. I've got pictures of, and you've been in the office of
I have.
Malcolm X, and of course of President Obama. One individual that a lot of people don't know about in the legal profession that really inspired me is Charles Hamilton Houston, and
Okay.
there is a picture of him. And for many of those who don't know, he was the former dean of Howard Law School, and one of his best students, probably his best student, was someone called Thurgood Marshall,
Uh-huh.
our first African American Supreme Court justice. And Charles Houston was responsible for many of the cases that led eventually to Brown v. Board of Education, which changed really the landscape and topography here for education for minorities in the United States. And one of the things is that he had trained these lawyers, created the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, trained Thurgood Marshall, but it was his mentorship that really brought forth the changes and success that we saw eventually. And he died before he had an opportunity to see Thurgood Marshall argue this case. He died about a year before that.
Oh
So
wow.
for me, he was always, that's always been inspiring to me, because the idea of mentoring, the idea of giving what you know to someone else. It lives beyond you, and that would be a legal hero that a lot of people don't know about. They only know about Supreme Court Justice Marshall, who had a distinguished career and is a well deserving hero. But it's also those who help you along the way, and I think he was a phenomenal train lawyer, and that's who really also inspires me as well. So those are a couple.
That's awesome. That idea of mentorship. Often we don't know the person behind the success. Like, well, we see that person, such as Justice Marshall, and we saw that he made it to the highest court in the land, as we say. But we don't know, who fueled him, or we don't know some of that backstory that really got him to that place. And so I think that is amazing that you know of some of that backstory, but then also use that to inspire you. I think that's also a wonderful connection to how you position yourself to inspire others to reach to their highest potential, offering your knowledge, offering your experiences and your resources. Let's talk a little bit about your journey to becoming a lawyer in terms of the bar. Is how do you encourage that student who is taking the bar, or who has taken the bar and is taking the bar again? What does that look like? How do you explain that, especially because your journey was a little different, being I would say a full grown adult a full grown adult working with a previous career as well as a graduate degree. How do you encourage someone who that bar just is something that they are continuing to strive for?
You know, and you're talking about the bar exam. I take
Yes,
it
the
right.
bar exam.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I had mentioned earlier about perseverance. You heard, well, first of all, so that you know, I did not pass the bar the first time
Okay.
that I took the exam. I had to take the bar exam a couple of times. And that is something that you know, and I don't say that at all in a shameful way. Uh, I recognize that each particular time and that struggle was unique for me to help me to understand and even understand how to um, have a disappointment that really can knock you down and have to get up and and continue on and press on. And I found out that that actually has been really something that has been a very valuable tool for you to have in this profession
Hmm.
and really to have in life. So the thing that I want to encourage individuals to do, especially with the bar exam, is I really want to encourage you to persevere, to do your very, very best, but persevere and understand that even if you don't succeed the first time, do not quit. It's not denied, it's just delayed. And often you may think that you had a particular plan that was in place, but there's another plan that may be in place. For me, I recognized that the timing may not have been was probably not the best time if I would have
Hmm.
passed the bar right at that time. But when by the time I did finally pass the bar examination, and the timing was right for me and my family, and opportunities open. So it's delayed, not denied. So I want to just encourage you all to persevere and understand that your worth is in the perseverance. It is not in whether you pass the first time or not. And some people say, well, that means I'm not as smart or as intelligent. No, that doesn't mean that at all. And you wouldn't have gotten through law school if you weren't smart. It's an
Hmm.
exam. It is one thing an obstacle you have to overcome, and you'll overcome it, and you will succeed. So I just encourage you to trust God, and I encourage you to trust yourself, trust your training, and don't give up. You'll get there. That will happen in the right time.
You'll get there in the right time. So I just want to repeat that bar that you said, that your worth and value is in the perseverance, not in the passing of the bar. For all of you you attorneys who are, or aspiring attorneys who are taking the bar, and even attorneys, because depending on what location you are in, if you want to go somewhere else, you have to take that bar again. So, that's awesome. The Just to know where your worth and value lies is in the continuance and the perseverance, not necessarily in the initial passing. And if you got through law school, then you're smart enough to pass the bar. So that's awesome. I totally agree with that. And yeah, I mean, I have other opinions about the bar exam, but we can talk about those later. However, that's amazing. So, one of the questions I also wanted to ask you. This is the Driven While Black podcast. I want to talk about, how does you being black influence your drive?
Ooh, um, from one perspective, because I've only been black, I don't know.
Me too. I woke up like this.
I don't know what someone else's experiences are other than what I may perceive them to be. Here's what I do know, though, as an African American male, I have had in a room and regularly in rooms where I am the only African American male. I have had to drive. You talked about driven while black. I've had to drive and be stopped, and my sons have been stopped for no reason. I do know what that feels like. I do know what it feels like, unfortunately, growing up in the inner city, to lose close friends, to violence and a variety of other issues that we all face. But what I also do know, and as a experience as a black, is that I had a community that I grew up in that loved me, a family that loved me, and I had values that we have specifically as African Americans that give us a basis to really be able to grow and to perform in a way, because we have to overcome challenges that some others just simply do not have to overcome.
Yeah.
And it's that ability to make do, to change, to adapt, to do the things that you have to do to get around issues that may be as a result of racism or lack of understanding from a cultural perspective, whatever it may be. We have become very agile and nimble at being able to do that. That also makes us great at problem solving and creativity as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely necessary in order to be a good attorney. I think it's important when you've been through some stuff and through some things, you're able to put some of the challenges that you have in perspective. And by being able to do that, if I've made it through this, then I can take on this. So, so I'm very proud to be an African American male practicing law, to be in this profession, and to have representation and see others that look like me, but to also be in the community so that others who may aspire to be attorney can see someone who looks like them. I'm Bryan from Brentnell, and I'm very proud of where I came from. And as a black man, I'm happy to practice law and honored to serve in the tradition of many others.
What is the next level of being driven while black for you?
Ooh, um, I think it is at this stage for me, it is seeing um, others and younger attorneys, younger individuals who are aspiring succeed, and it is seeing me being able to help them in that process by giving them the knowledge and the advice and experiences and sharing that with them that I've had. I am at a point where I just see that as so valuable to pass on my information, whether it's taken in or accepted. At least I'm giving it, and it's for the next generation to accept. So mentorship, working. I would love to see and continue to see more and more younger attorneys come into our firm uh, as we continue to grow, so that I can pass on the information to them that I've learned, and others can be a reservoir of information to share, so that they can grow and go even further than yeah.
That's awesome. So investing into the future, I think that is so important. When we talk about being driven while black and just this idea of an attorney, we don't often talk about the whole person. And so for me, my question, and they probably have heard it a little bit, but what does the creative side look like, or what else do you do outside of practicing law?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that. I found that a lot of attorneys have a whole nother creative side. I'm a musician and a singer, and actually, that's part of how I was became interested in the law. In addition to the story that I had shared, so um, I do participate. For years, I played for my church. I played keyboards, and I've sang for years. And I do sing as a part of a national recording artist group named Identity. We've had a couple of albums out, and God has blessed us enough a couple of about a year ago to some awards and accolades for the last album that we had. So
Awesome.
that is
Congratulations.
thank you, and that is absolutely something that I enjoy doing, and kind of another side of me is kind of left and right brain, and having the opportunity to be able to be creative in that way, I think is a whole another part of me that allows me even to be a better, hopefully a better attorney and better
Hmm.
person as well.
Yes, that's awesome. Creativity, I think, is so important to this journey, especially as a lawyer, because you have to figure out what the best solution and pathway is using the law for your client. So I do think that is an amazing skill to have, and I think we undervalue it in the legal profession and just in the process of becoming a legal professional, because it's very, very, very vital to being a zealous advocate for your client, which if you are in the legal profession or are trained as a lawyer, that's ideally that's the bottom line. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is becoming a zealous advocate for your client. So I think that is amazing. So I have a fun question for you.
Sure.
What? And this is funny because you're also a musician and a singer and have albums. So this is the question. What is the title of your album cover that explains your Driven While Black story? What is the title of your album that explains your Driven While Black story?
Oh wow. Um, Um, wow, that's a great question. Here's what I would actually have the title, not just my album, but if someone who actually had an album entitled this, or at least a song, never would have made it.
Come on.
So,
I almost busted out in the song. Let me hear it. You're the singer. Let me hear it.
so, so I have to give, honor and credit to God. I don't believe I could possibly ever have done any of this without His help, and then of course, blessing me with a wonderful wife and wonderful parents and family. So I am truly a blessed individual, and I never would have made it without him.
Amen. You're also a minister, right?
I am. I wasn't trying to tell
I
everybody
know.
that,
I see you had skipped over that part. We was talking about creativity, talking about musician, singer. I'm like, this man just quoted the Bible about 3 times and talked about God, and all he ain't talking about he a minister. We already know, but you can confirm it for us. That's what it
no,
is.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I think that's amazing, and a vital part to success in the journey is you can be more than one thing as well as a lawyer. And so I think that that's a beautiful combination and a great way to use all of your gifts. So how can folks stay in touch with you?
Well, thank you. I We do have our website is the Steward Firm We also are on, oh gosh, I'm sorry, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, I believe is the Steward Firm. This type attorney Bryan, Bryan Steward and the Steward Firm. Also on Facebook and all the other social media platforms. And certainly give us a call if you ever need any legal services. We certainly are here to serve you. And Dr. Gordon, I truly thank you. So honored to be a guest on your podcast.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for your time. I'm grateful that you're willing to do this. So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being driven while Black. We don't often tell each other thank you, but thank you for being driven while Black. Where even though I don't walk in the same exact path as you, your path has definitely opened up doors and ways for me to walk in mine. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yay, have a good night.
Do the same. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.